A year passed after the incident in the cave. During that time, Bell never stopped training, pushing himself tirelessly and pushing his body to its absolute limit. Every day, Alfia and Zard put Bell through a rigorous training regimen. The boy realized that no matter how hard he tried, their strength seemed unattainable, which began to bother him. Bell knew nothing about their past, which only increased his frustration and curiosity. One day, Alfia, his aunt with white hair like his, decided it was time to have a serious talk with the boy. One day after a mysterious man appeared in his house, Bell noticed something strange. On that particular day, he was not training with Alfia. When the man, whom he had never seen before, appeared, his aunt's expression changed drastically. She looked furious, a reaction Bell had never witnessed before. The man had a different presence, something almost divine, as if a dark aura surrounded him. Bell, despite never having seen a deity, immediately realized that there was something special about this man. Alfia, with her stern expression, ordered Bell to continue training alone, while she, Zard and Zeus retreated to the house to talk to the mysterious visitor. The trio spent a long time talking to the stranger, leaving Bell restless, curious and, at the same time, afraid. A bitter feeling began to grow in his chest, as if something was about to go wrong. Holding on to this feeling, the boy crept closer to a window, peering inside. The expressions of his family were somber and thoughtful, something that Bell, due to his young age and naivety, could not decipher. He had never seen his uncles like that, especially such powerful people, and it worried him. Afraid of being caught by Alfia, Bell quickly returned to his training. That day, he trained alone, and when he returned home, he followed his routine. He cleaned himself, ate and immersed himself in his grandfather's books to try to distract his restless mind. However, no one spoke to him or tried to explain what was happening, which made him even more apprehensive. Bell knew that something big was about to happen, but he forced himself to believe that the adults would solve everything, and the next day, everything would go back to normal. However, upon reflection, Bell realized that, since he was born, the only people he had known were the three who lived with him and the people of the village. He had never remembered anyone else, and this led him to question the strength of his uncles. How could they be so powerful and yet live in such a remote and small place? Were they hiding from something? And who was that mysterious man? The more Bell thought, the more questions arose in his mind, until he decided to sleep, hoping that dawn would bring answers. The next day, Bell woke up early, as always, to begin his daily training with Alfia. As he approached her, he noticed that something was different. His aunt, usually so impassive, seemed sentimental, something extremely unusual for her. The scene made Bell even more apprehensive about the man who had appeared the night before. Alfia invited Bell to go for a walk in the woods, and the two walked in complete silence for several minutes. Uncomfortable, Bell tried to ask something, but Alfia interrupted him, saying, "You look so much like your mother." Until then, Alfia had never talked about Bell's mother, and this surprised him. Eager to know more, Bell listened intently as Alfia continued, describing how his mother, Materia, was loved by everyone, a kind person, sometimes too much so. Bell was completely focused on every word, absorbing every detail about the woman he had never met, but who seemed to mean so much to everyone. "Bell would give anything for her to be here with you," Alfia continued, her voice thick with emotion. "But what happened can't be undone. For her sake, I did my best to take care of you, even if I was nowhere near as amazing as your mother once was." With tears in his eyes, Bell responded, saying that Alfia was like a mother to him. "You are everything to me, and I am so grateful to have you in my life." Bell's words left the former level 7 adventurer speechless. She looked away, unable to look at the boy, but not before Bell saw a tear running down her cheek. He was happy, realizing that, as tough as Alfia was, she really did love him. Alfia then changed her expression to her usual seriousness and caught Bell's attention. "Bell, Zard and I were once adventurers from Orario." The boy stopped walking abruptly, his equipment falling to the ground, and he lost control of his body upon hearing this revelation. It really made sense. No ordinary person could throw a monster against a wall so easily. In fact, she put the monster through the wall. Bell looked at his aunt, his eyes shining with admiration. "We had great trouble in Orario, and your grandfather welcomed us here," Alfia continued. This only increased the doubts in Bell's mind. How does my grandfather know such powerful people? And why do they seem so close, to the point of destroying the house several times? Alfia, knowing the boy well, interrupted his train of thought. "Believe me, Bell. This is something bigger than the two of us. Zard and I need to do something, and we need to leave today." Bell couldn't believe what he was hearing. His aunt's words were actually a farewell. The look of admiration he had now turned into despair and fear. He couldn't accept this, he didn't want to. It wasn't fair that the only people he had were going to leave him. Feeling an overwhelming wave of emotions that he had repressed for so long, Bell started running, without looking back. He didn't want his beloved aunt to leave. He wanted to keep training, spend more time with her, hear stories about his parents. And so, he ran and ran until he came across the cave where, one day, he promised Alfia that he would return to defeat the monster that had once defeated him. Frustrated, Bell clenched his fists and decided to enter the cave. He remembered, however, that he had left all his equipment behind. All he had now was a small dagger, a gift from his grandfather. But Bell was different from the last time. He was faster, stronger, and much more determined. His perception had increased dramatically. Since the beginning of the cave, Bell knew where every monster was hiding. He had changed, and the monsters realized it too. The prey that entered would not be an easy target. One of the small goblins ran to inform the chief about the intruder. The goblin leader was furious upon hearing the news and went to find Bell. Upon arriving, he saw that all of his subordinates had been defeated by the boy. Enraged, he let out a howl of rage, trying to intimidate the boy. But Bell did not move, nor did he even change his expression. The monster, even more furious, did not know that Bell was channeling all the frustration of that day. He was not there to take revenge or simply to defeat the monster. He was there to fulfill his promise and meet the expectations of those he loved. Without hesitation, the reckless Bell advanced towards the monster. The creature, which had grown stronger by devouring several of its subordinates' magic stones, seemed more powerful, but Bell didn't know that. The fight began, a struggle between brute force and speed. Bell, now with a smaller weapon than usual, ran and slid, trying to find an opening to attack the monster. The creature, in turn, attacked with full force, destroying the floor in an attempt to neutralize Bell's mobility. But the boy, with the experience gained from near-death training with Alfia and Zard, was prepared. For him, each training session had been a real fight for survival. Bell realized the monster's strategy and, to his surprise, recognized that the creature was capable of thinking of a tactic during the battle. He had never imagined that a monster could be so cunning, but that didn't shake him. Bell continued to fight with unwavering determination, determined to win not only to fulfill his promise, but to prove to himself that he could overcome any challenge that life threw his way.